Hello and welcome to another video from Midas Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles. And today, well, we're looking at something that's now quite old, has become very collectible, and is becoming increasingly more difficult to find in any condition. We are looking at the 1998 release by Kenner from their Star Wars Epic Force series of figures. And these particular figures were static figures. There was no movement on them, and they came on a rotatable base that had a wheel, so you could put the figure down and you could turn the wheel and the figure would rotate 360 degrees. They were quite a nice size figure, bigger than the standard action figures, and they're all based on Star Wars, the original trilogy, which we all know was a very, very popular trilogy, released originally back in the 1970s. It was basically a space opera created by George Lucas and produced by his production company, which was Lucasfilms, and it was distributed by 20th Century Fox. Now, the first three films consisted of Star Wars, which was released in 1977, The Empire Strikes Back, which was released in 1980, and The Return of the Jedi, which was released in 1983. Now, these three films, although originally produced, they serve as the second act in the what has now become the Skywalker saga, which is a 9-episode movie set, if you like. These were the first three films released, and then they done a prequel of 3 movies, which was The Phantom Menace, The Attack of the Clones, and The Revenge of the Sith, which was produced between 1999 and 2005, and of course the final 3 films, which was produced between 2015 and 2019, which was The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. And collectively, that's all known as the Skywalker saga. So, the original trilogy film centres on the Galactic Civil War, which is raging between the Rebel Alliance and the Galactic Empire, and basically follows the journey of Luke Skywalker in his quest to become a Jedi under the tutorage of exiled Jedi Masters Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. Luke Skywalker joins forces with Princess Leia and Han Solo with Chewbacca, C-3PO and R2-D2, and he joins the Rebel Alliance in facing the Empire and the evil Sith Lord Darth Vader, who obviously, as we all know, turns out to be his father, Anakin Skywalker. Okay, interestingly enough, the budget for the 3 movies put together was $76.5 million, and at the box office it earned $1.798 billion, nearly 18 times its cost is pulled back at the box office. And if you compare that to the sequel trilogy, where the budget for the 3 films was $1.163 billion, not 76 million, but $1.163 billion was the cost to produce the last 3 movies. But once again, at the box office, they took 4.475 billion. So 4 times the amount of money that it costs to produce. Anyway, let's not digress too much. This particular figure we're looking at today is of the Stormtrooper, and it's as he appeared in the original trilogy. So Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And as I said, this particular one is the Epic Force series, which is a static figure, and he stands on a rotating base. Okay, this is the pack it comes in, and at the very top it says ages 4 and up, and it says Star Wars Epic Force, and it's got rotate figure 360 degrees, and it says Stormtrooper at the bottom there. Okay, before we have a good look at the figure, let's turn pack it around and see what we've got on printed on the back. Okay, so I'll turn it around. I've added a little bit more light so I can read it a little bit easier. So this is Star Wars Epic Force Stormtrooper. The mood was blackened on the brightly lit Cloud City of Bespin. Using the captured crew of the Millennium Falcon as bait, Darth Vader successfully lures Jedi in training Luke Skywalker to the floating city. For Vader, it appears that all elements are proceeding as planned, and soon young Skywalker will be within his evil grasp. Even now, fearsome Imperial stormtroopers, the Empire's elite shock troopers, escort their rebel prisoners through Cloud City corridors. Meanwhile, Vader prepares to deal with a young Jedi alone. But the Dark Lord, underestimates the courage and resourcefulness of the rebellion. His plan is not foolproof as he had anticipated, and the tide is about to turn for the rebel prisoners. Okay, so that's all about the capture on Bespin and Vader's fight with Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back. And it says the Force is with you in all the Star Wars Epic Force figures. And other ones in the series is Luke Skywalker, lured to Cloud City by the evil Empire. Luke Skywalker confronts the sinister Darth Vader and discovers a devastating truth as horrifying as the Dark Lord himself. Princess Leia Organa, captured by Darth Vader on Bespin's Cloud City, the princess witnesses the freezing of Han Solo in Corbinite. But with Lando Calrissian's help, Princess Leia and her band of freedom fighters may make their escape yet. And Darth Vader, appointed by the evil Emperor to hunt down Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader lures the Jedi in training to Bespin Cloud City. In a spectacular lightsaber duel, Vader defeats the boy and reveals the dark truth. And at the bottom there, you've got all the writing, but it's all in Chinese, and you've got the Kenner logo and the information at the bottom there, and it's 1998. And you've got the barcode and the item number, and it's made in China, obviously. Okay, that's the back of the card. Let's turn the item back round to the front and let's have a look at the figure. Okay, so I've turned the card back round to the front and I've zoomed in on the actual figure itself. Now, it is still sealed on the pack, despite there has been some damage to the packaging, but it is still sealed, so I can't take it off. Because obviously it's got to go back into the shop, but we can have a good look at the figure through the window, and as it's a rotational one, I can turn it so we can have a very good look of the Stormtrooper all the way around. And I mean, it looks absolutely incredible. Now, as I said, it's a static figure, so there's no movement on the figure. The arms, the head, the legs, nothing moves. It's just a static figure, but you rotate him by turning the wheel on the bottom of the base, as I'm doing at the moment, which I will zoom out and show you shortly. But I just wanted you to see have a good look at the Stormtrooper himself there. And if we zoom out a little bit and go down where you can see all of him, and I will rotate him again. I'm just literally putting my finger on the wheel and just turning it so you can see him going all the way around, and I'll show you what I'm doing in a second. But there you can see the Stormtrooper in all his glory, and he looks absolutely incredible in his lovely white armor. Very, very detailed figure, and on that attack pose, holding his laser blaster. Really does look absolutely fantastic. Okay, so you can see the bottom there. You've got this wheel on the bottom of the base there, and as you just turn it, you can turn it either way. It does turn either way, so you can do it whichever way you like, and you can rotate the figure as fast or as slow as you want, and pop him in position wherever you feel like it. So really, really nice figure. And really poses very, very well. And if you had the whole set, my God, you could just really put them in all sorts of different positions. So the window has discoloured slightly because it is quite old. This was a shop find. We had a whole load of these, which were taken off the shelf and thrown into a box in the stock room. And there was loads of stuff put on top, and consequently there's been some damage to the packaging most of which is at the top. So it's cracked somewhat. So unfortunately there is a little bit of damage to the packaging, but the figure remains mint, and for anyone who bought the figure, you will remove the outer packaging from it anyway. Whether you would leave them on the packaging or not, depends on how you like to display your figure. Personally, I would, because there's a great backdrop image there from Bespin City, so I would just take the bubble off and leave him on standing where he is and display him. I don't have this one in my collection, but I do have the Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker and Boba Fett in my collection, and that's exactly what I've done with those. So yes, very, very nice figure. Let's just get some measurements of him. So the figure itself, you're looking at 15 centimeters, which is about 6 inches. That's in height. And if we measure, well, we're looking at around about 5 centimeters in width. And depth wise, I'm just going to measure the widest point, which is about 7 centimeters. And that's measuring from the end of his blaster back to his shoulders. So looking very, very nice indeed. Now, as I said, there is some damage on the card here. I'm just going to bend it down and show you. That's the top view, but there is some cracking here, and it's come away somewhat. And it's actually, I might be able to, yeah. Okay, so if I lift that up, you can actually see the Stormtrooper inside there. And I'm going to try and rotate him. There we go. So you can actually see the figure inside the pack. You can see how amazing, I mean, that's the top view. So you can see how amazing he looks out of the packet there. But there is damage to this. The bubble is broken. It is still, there's some dust on it where it's been stuck in a box for many, many years. So yeah, unfortunately there's a little bit of damage, and that sign there has dropped down a little bit. I'll just put that back up where that's supposed to be. There we go. Okay, yeah, so these figures were released in 1998 when the Star Wars trilogy had gone back to the big screen. So with the announcement of the new prequel trilogy, what they decided to do while the film was being released was they digitally remastered the original three films back to how Lucas wanted them. So there was added scenes, remastered, and digitally special effects were added to make it a much, much better effects, exactly how George Lucas wanted it. And they were sent back to the big screen weeks apart. So you had 1 week at Star Wars, then a few weeks later was Empire Strikes Back, and then a few weeks later was the Return of the Jedi. I remember taking my children to see them when they were quite young. It was the first taste of Star Wars that they really had, and they thoroughly enjoyed it, and they couldn't wait for the next prequel to come out. So when these first 3 films went back to the cinema, Kenner thought, yep, great idea. They started to release all of the Star Wars merchandise again. Pretty much what they released back in the 70s and early 80s. However, obviously with much updated technology. Pretty much same range of figures, and until they completed all the figures that were done originally, and then they went on to different things. But they were obviously updated, far more detailing, better articulation, and so on. And then they obviously done all the vehicles as well, again updated with electronic effects and with better technology than there was around the 70s. And then they did all sorts of different figures, so like these ones were never released originally. These Epic Force styles were only released in the 90s after the series went back to the big screen. So, but as I say, I think these figures are absolutely fantastic. They're not really toys, although they're advertised and sold as toys, but for me there are display pieces that you can adjust and turn accordingly, because you've got that wheel, and they sit quite comfortably on that wheel, and you can display them however you like. So I've got my Darth Vader and my Luke Skywalker one together with their lightsabers drawn, about to battle each other. And I've got Boba Fett standing behind, looking at or watching the duel about to take place. So it's a nice display. As I say, I don't have a Stormtrooper. I would have actually had a Stormtrooper standing behind Darth Vader if I had one, but I don't have one. So my display is as it is. It's a nice display as it is, and I wouldn't want to change it. So yeah, not for me to add one in, but it'd be nice to have a separate display. Perhaps with the Stormtrooper and Princess Leia. Princess Leia being escorted by a Stormtrooper, that would be a good one. Anyway, fantastic figure. So, question now. How well did they do back in 1998? Well, I don't think these figures done as well as you would have expected. And I'm pretty certain that's because they're not, doesn't appear to be a play figure. They are more, well, they're static figures, so you can't actually do anything with them apart from display and rotate the base. So I think these were geared more for collectors rather than children. So consequently, adults wouldn't really buy these for their kids. So the teenagers or the older adults that will want to put them on a display or on a mantelpiece or in a display cabinet, those are the ones that would have bought these figures. So sadly, I don't think they produced as many as they could have done, and they didn't sell as well as they could have. Obviously, they all sold out eventually, but I don't think they sold as well as they did, and they only run them for a limited time. These were only run for about a year because 1999 the episode 1 figures went into production, and the rest is history. So yes, they done okay. They did sell out of them, but not as many as I think they could have done had they been perhaps marketed a little bit differently. Anyway, let's move forward now 27 years to 2025, which is where we are today. Do these figures come up for sale very often on the platforms? Well, if you're patient enough, you will find them on the platforms. They do come up from time to time. Various different states of condition. Lots of these ones you see have damage to the bubbles, as this one has. Lots of them, I'll say they do have significant damage. It's not uncommon with these windows because the way the windows were made, I think, and the way the whole bubble was designed. Probably would have been, I think, would have been better if it was cardboard surround with just a window at the front and maybe at the top. I think they would have served better and wouldn't have got damaged so easily. But there we are. But they do come up fairly regularly. Well, say fairly semi-regularly. Some more than others on the platforms. And as I say, they are in various different states of condition. So there are some, actually I did see some, a Stormtrooper one in that. I saw one absolutely in mint condition with no discoloration to the bubble and no damage. So they do come up if that's what you're looking for. Personally, for me, these particular figures, if I was to add the Stormtrooper to mine, it wouldn't really bother me about a damaged packaging, because I would remove the bubble from the packaging and display it just on the backdrop with the base and leave it at that, but just take the bubble off, because the bubble doesn't actually do anything for you, so I would remove it. But then again, that's my opinion. But anyway, to summarize, yes, they do come up for sale semi-regularly on the platforms, different types of figures, and I think there might be 6 in the series. I can't remember exactly how many there were, but I think there's about 6. And some you see more than others on the platforms, but yes, they do come up. The only thing is, I will remind you, be careful on the platforms. Some people's idea of very good condition could be somebody else's idea of acceptable condition. So there's a big gap there of different opinions. So be careful. Make sure you have a good look at the images that are being provided, and read the description carefully, because you could be disappointed otherwise. And also, don't forget, some of the platforms use stock images and stock descriptions, so you could be looking at one that says it's brand new, but actually there's no brand new ones available, and they automatically go to the cheapest used item, which you may find is something you don't want. If it doesn't have new and it says used, click it and read what you're about to order before you press the buy it now button, because you could, as I say, you could end up with a used item. It might just be a loose figure, and you will be disappointed when it arrives. So do be careful. Or alternatively, you can come to us at Midas Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles, where what you see in front of you is exactly the item you should receive if you wish to order the item. We don't believe in stock images or stock descriptions, and if we have different conditions, they are listed under the completely different products, so there can be no confusion or mix-up. And as of today, this particular figure, along with all the other ones that we have available, are now available to purchase on the Midas Touch website, which you can get to very simply by clicking the link below. It'll take you straight to the website, where you'll be able to find this and many other vintage Star Wars items and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles. Come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I'm absolutely positive this is something that you're not going to want to miss, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new items which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you're looking for, something old that you never been able to find, something quirky you might want to buy for a friend, or perhaps just something from your childhood that you'd like to own again to help you recuperate those long lost childhood memories, well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know, the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you've enjoyed reviewing this wonderful, wonderful vintage Star Wars Epic Force Stormtrooper figure with me. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next video. So bye for now.